Hey everybody, my name is Kathryn and I am a landscape designer at Topeka Landscape, and I'm going to talk to you today about pruning roses and wind and why that's important. So as you can see here, this rose shrub was planted about a year ago. Very good size, and it looks very well, and it looks like it's come out of the winter pretty well, because as you can see, if you can, there's these little tiny red buds that are swelling just all over the shrub, and it looks really good. And springtime is really the best time to majorly prune back your roses, because that will cut off all the dead canes and anything that's damaged or crossing. It'll get rid of all of that, so then you basically are opening up that plant for all the new growth to grow up, and it'll grow and be healthy and and be good to go for spring. So you may be wondering what these things are. These are the spent flowers from the previous year, and these, a little horticulture background, these are called rose hips, that for some varieties of roses, and don't quote me exactly on this, but for some varieties of roses, those can be used in teas and for medicinal purposes, and herbaceous purposes and that kind of thing. It's kind of a cool fact. So anyway, so depending on the size of your rose will depend on how far you want to cut it back. And so for a rose this size, I'd say probably, and I know it's hard to judge on how big a shrub like this is. This is probably 2.5 feet tall, 2.5 feet tall and wide, something like that. So with the rose this size, I would say cutting it back to probably about a foot and a half from the ground. And as with the swelling buds, that also will help determine on how far you want to cut that rose shrub back. If your rose is a larger, older shrub that maybe is 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, I would probably cut that back probably about 3 feet to 2.5 feet tall and wide from the ground. Like I say, spring is really the best time to cut back your roses severely like that, because otherwise, if you do it any other time during the year, it can stress it out and then cause you problems down the road. So let's get to cleaning this one up. Another thing that pruning roses in the spring will do, and this one doesn't show very much sign of it, which is good, it will also cut off some of the winter kill. And it can be kind of hard to see, but this cane, this little bit here, probably has some winter kill on it. It's a little bit wrinkled and doesn't look as good as some of the other canes do, and so we're definitely going to cut that off. So how I'm going to judge is probably cutting this to about a foot off the ground, probably. So what you're going to want to do is, so say here's your bud, and so you're going to want to cut as close to 1 inch as you can, and then you're going to want to make as close to 45-degree angle cut as possible. This will help to push that new growth out, and it'll really help the rose. And so you just go along, something like this. This looks like it. There might be a bud there actually. And I've worked with roses for years, and so you may be wondering why I'm pruning roses without gloves on. I am very, very used to being stuck with thorns on my fingers. So honestly, that's just my personal preference. Sometimes I like to feel what I'm doing when I work outside, and so there's times when I can't stand to wear gloves, and so if you need to wear gloves, it's totally personal preference. In fact, probably is recommended that you wear gloves so that you don't have to dig any of those thorns out of your out of your fingers if you get pricked. Let's see. Okay, and you may run into some instances, kind of like what I'm running into right now. If you can see how there's a branch here, you can't really see a bud here. You can see a bunch of buds here, none really here. But yet, if you see these buds down here, and again, it comes down to personal preference. I'm going to cut, if I can get in there. And sometimes, like I say, it can be a little challenging. I'm going to cut that clear back. So then, once when the Kansas winds let up and the temperatures get warmer, then these buds will push out and it'll grow that direction, and so then you'll still get all of that really nice growth. All right, and now it is good to go for spring. And so just if you have lots of roses, or a number of roses in your landscape, then you'll do this to everyone to help it with coming into that new spring and the new growth, and it'll be good to go. It'll be good to go for when it pushes those buds out. So thanks for listening, and let us know if you have any questions or if you need us to help you with anything.